Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this special Shift Talk presentation, The Future is Sound, with Simone Niles. Simone Niles is an expert coach, sound healer, vocalist, and author who offers grounded and practical teachings to help others generate meaning and alignment in their work and life. Simone's gift in using sound has touched many throughout her healing, teaching, and performing for more than 2 decades. And now, let's welcome Simone Niles.
If it is true that the eyes are the window to the soul, then the voice is the doorway. Just like we all have a unique fingerprint, we also have a unique soundprint. And soul has its own melody, rhythm, vibration, and frequency. And we are all unique compositions wanting to express our songs into the world. Can you remember a moment recently when you felt disconnected from yourself and perhaps out of alignment with what truly mattered to you, your deepest desires? Those moments when the outer world feels in conflict with your inner universe. Gosh, we all know those moments where sometimes something just feels off. You wish that you said no to something that either crossed a line or a boundary. Or perhaps you wish that you said yes to something that was outside of your comfort zone because it was exciting, but it was also scary. Or those moments where you just wish that you could do what you love instead of doing the job that you're expected to do. Well, how can we bring more alignment into our lives? By reconnecting with our voices, we open the door to hearing our soul's song, listening to it, and sharing it as well. And our voices say a lot about who we truly are. And it has information in it about our fears, our insecurities, our passions, and our dreams. And often we express this out into the world through our emotions. And by emotions, I'm referring to energy in motion, the way the energy moves through our bodies to create different states of being, and how we express that sonically into the world. Have you ever noticed those moments where perhaps you feel angry and your tone hardens and you grit your teeth and it gets louder and you're trying to get your point across? Or perhaps those moments in excitement when the pitch goes all the way up here and you're speaking really quickly and you can't wait to tell someone the great news? Or even in those moments of sadness where the tone softens and the pace in which you speak drops and slows. Well, these are the ways that we unconsciously express our emotions and use our voice to express that inner part of ourselves. The tonal changes, breathing changes, and volume contrasts, they're all parts of the way we express ourselves. And sound has a way of impacting us, impacting the way we feel at many different levels. It has interesting ways of traveling through the body. In fact, sound travels through water at a speed of 3,350 miles per hour. And since the body is made up of 70% water, we conduct sound easily and effortlessly through the body. Imagine if you could shout your name across the Atlantic Ocean from London to New York. That sound would reach that coast within the hour. Incredible. Another way that sound travels through the body is through the vagus nerve. This is the largest nerve in the body, starting at the brainstem, coming down the front of the neck in close proximity to your larynx and your pharynx, near your vocal cords. It goes down through the body, through the cardiovascular system, reproductive system, digestive system, and many other organs. And in a way, it acts like a super highway where it carries messages from our brain all the way through our body. Now, what's really cool about the vagus nerve is it also affects our sympathetic nervous system. And this is responsible for our fight or flight response, those moments where our body instinctively responds to perceived danger. And humming is one of the ways that we can stimulate our vagus nerve. I remember maybe about 3 weeks ago, I was in the car coming home with my kids from a day of shopping. The windows were down, the sun was outside shining, it was a beautiful day. As I was approaching a roundabout that had one lane, a car sped up on the left of me, trying to make this two lanes. The guy honked his horn. Then he lowered his window, made some obscene hand gestures, and shouted at me. In that moment, I froze. I had a moment where my heart felt like it was inside of my mouth. I couldn't believe what just happened. Road rage at its best, and he sped off along the rest of his journey. So I was so afraid. I could feel the adrenaline pumping, my heart racing, but I had to compose myself so that I can take myself and my children safely home. As I turned the corner around the roundabout, I started humming along to the songs that were being played in the car and singing and joining in. And this calmed me right down. Because humming stimulates the vagus nerve, it also allows and encourages the reduction of cortisol in the body. And so I then entered a state of deep relaxation, and it was incredible that I could continue on my journey home and continue on the rest of the day. Now, this experience was pretty scary, but it wasn't the greatest fear that I had. I was 9 years old, and I was pretty terrified of my father. The sound of his voice felt like a booming direct laser that went straight through me. And I would either be really quiet or not speak at all. It wasn't like I was cowering under my bed when he came home from work, but often I did my best to stay out of his way because I was scared. I was scared. And I thought, it's better that I don't approach him and say anything because I was afraid of what response I might get in that moment. In my mind, it was better to be not seen and not heard. And over time, I learned how to avoid confrontation really well. Just lower my voice and be quiet. And this impacted how I related to people with other perceived booming voices, often those who were in a position of authority. It was hard. It felt like this is the reality. There's just absolutely nothing I could do about this. But something changed all of that. I loved to sing. From as young as age 7, I knew that I wanted to be a singer, and I pursued that with every cell of my being ever since. This is what I was here to do, use my voice. I would come home from school and I'd go into the garden and I'd jump and climb into my favorite tree and I would sing my heart out. I can remember the feeling of the branch supporting my back and the hot sun just warming my heart. And I could feel the breeze across my face, and I remember hearing the birds around me and noticing the sounds of the sea in the distance as the waves lapped across the shore. In that moment, it was so profound, profound in a way that I can't even totally bring to light through words today. But it was such a beautiful experience of connection. I felt so connected to nature and source. I felt so connected to sound, and I also felt connected to me. And so this became my daily ritual. I continued throughout school, singing and doing all the things I could. And then I got to my college experience, where I decided, hey, I'm going to study languages. Now, this is not what I wanted to do. Languages was the furthest thing in my mind from being aligned with what I really wanted to do, which was to sing, which was to use my voice. In a way, I got up every morning going to school. It felt like torture. It felt like my soul was dying. But then I skipped a lot of my classes and I went into the auditorium. I would meet my friends there and we would sing lots of different songs together, bringing harmonies in and creating an incredible blend. And I remember in particular the sounds of the acoustics in this room bouncing off the walls and reverberating back into my body. I could feel almost like I was in the inside of this cushioned bell going back and forth as the sound hit the walls and bounced through my body. And the fear that I felt as a 9-year-old, the fear that froze me rigid, started to melt away. It felt like there was this warm golden liquid going down my body as the fear started to leave and make its way somewhere else. And in those moments of exploring my tonality, the connection to my sound and my body and my breath, I started to become so much more resonant with my tone. And this had a ripple effect. I started to feel more confident. I started speaking up, speaking out. I was feeling free and I was feeling me. And it felt like I was ready to answer my song, answer this soul calling. And so I took the courageous step to leave college and pursue what I knew I was here to do, using my voice. Now, the truth is, no matter where you are on your journey of using your voice right now, you can reconnect to your authentic sound. One of my clients, Kaya, came to me as a singer-songwriter artist, and she wanted to work on how she could really get in touch with her tonality and just express herself better in her material. So we started our journey together looking at vocal technique, how she could really expand the breath in the body, how she can use the voice more efficiently. And then this journey organically evolved into what felt like a journey back to herself through using her voice and sound. We looked at ways that she could start listening and feeling more connected to her voice. And there were parts of her voice that she actually didn't like. She said, I don't really like the vibrato, or this part of my range, it's not quite what I want it to be. So as we worked on helping her coming to a place of accepting her unique sound print, that sound that only she could create, and how she could use that authentically in her expression, she started to come also into a place of accepting herself. And this had a knock on effect, which allowed her to leave behind toxic relationships. She took major leaps in her work and her artistry. And she started to really learn how to express herself in ways that felt more aligned with her truest desires. And it's incredible to witness. In this space of alignment, she felt like what she said mattered. She said there was this space or room within her where she felt safe, where she felt loved, and that she could do almost anything that her heart desired. And I know this feeling really well. Using my voice and in my healing journey, it allowed me to feel the same way, loved, safe, and allowed to speak up in the most authentic ways that I could find. Now, it is worth mentioning here that I have the most loving and supportive father, and that I adore our relationship. And through my own healing journey, and how, I guess now I can be really grateful for his booming tone, that one that used to affect me, that no longer has the same impact. And I no longer take it personally because, in truth, it was never really about me. And so I recognize that by reconnecting with my sound, that the knock-on effects was connecting to my body, connecting to my sound, connecting to source. And the knock-on effects included tapping into my own personal power, increasing my self-awareness, and also a deeper sense of self. And now it's not about singing and sounding pretty. It's about going into that authentic place where everything is acceptable, where all of the sounds that you want to create and explore are right now. And so now my healing compositions are just that. I go into the studio and I allow whatever sounds want to come through me, which often feels like a channeled experience. And that is what I present to the world, the non-edited, raw, true, authentic sound, perfect with all its imperfections. Connecting with our true sound. Well, to be honest, this is our birthright. We can tap into the frequency and the melody and the rhythm and vibration to reveal that natural sound and that sonic source that is present and accessible to us all. And we can reconnect with our soul sound, which not only contains unique frequencies and melodies and rhythms, but also it contains sonic links to that universal sound. That's universal sound from which we are all birthed. And in that sonic space, we are all connected, all vibrating, and come together to form a symphony. This connected space is where we can birth compassion, where we can birth love, non judgment, acceptance of ourselves and others. So, how can we begin that journey towards reconnecting with our soul song, our sound print that is only ours and ours alone? I find it very interesting how often we find ourselves unconsciously connecting to sounds in moments of joy. Those moments where you're humming around the house or singing to your children, or in moments of pleasure where you bite into that juicy fruit or feel pleasure in your body. Or those moments when you just need a release and you sigh. A sigh is one of the most natural ways of supporting sound with the breath and connecting the sound to the body. It also happens to be a great way to relieve and release stress and anxiety. So, sighing is a great thing. Now, what if we made this a conscious practice? If nothing else, we would start to build an association of sound being something joyous and healing. And that would make it easier for us to use our voices in situations where normally it might be hard to speak. It would give us the opportunity to speak up about things that really matter to us and to call in the things we truly desire. So, what can you do today to help you start coming back to that sound? You can start by noticing the way you use your voice right now. By awakening your sound through humming and making conscious choices, and by connecting your sound to your breath and to your body. Because if it is true that the eyes are the window to the soul, then the voice is the doorway. Are you willing to knock at that door? And when it opens, take a step. Sending you love, healing, and sound wherever you are. Thank you.